Hey everyone, welcome to Buzzing About Romance Happy Hour Edition. I am Becky, and joining me as my co host this evening is Amanda. Hi, Amanda.
Hi, Becky.
And we are super excited, and we're going to try not to fangirl too hard. We are super excited that tonight we are joined by author Jackie Lau. Jackie, welcome to Happy Hour.
Hi, I'm happy to be here.
So we are here today to celebrate the release of Love Lies and Cherry Pies, which I love this title. Did you come up with that?
No.
Oh,
So actually it was originally called, when the book was announced, it was called Truth or Fiction or Truth and Fiction, something like that. I think it wasn't rom-commy enough, and so I was unable to think of a good title. So they came up with a list of titles for me, I believe, and this was one of them. The problem was that there was very little cherry pie in the book at that point, so I actually went and added another scene because of the title change. So
it needed more pie.
um, yeah, there was actually there's a whole scene where she bakes pie and takes it to his place, and I do not think she did that in the original draft. So
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
that's a great scene too.
that is.
Who would have thought a title could inspire like a whole scene?
Yeah.
Because that's a really great scene when she does
Yeah, I
that.
think it's actually one of my favorites. So,
Yeah, I think she did go to his place for dinner, but the whole like baking the pie beforehand and taking that over didn't happen in the earlier draft.
That's okay. That's why there's drafts, right? So in the description of the video, you will find all the places to connect with Jackie. You can also check out our website at bookcaseandcoffee.com, and we have everything linked over there also. Make sure you like, subscribe, and do all the things so you can stay connected with Jackie. Rules of the night, you can ask all the questions in the chat. We'll do our best to answer them as we go. Um, we kind of have a tradition with our happy hours. We always like to ask, um, what are you drinking this evening?
So I am just drinking tea right now, actually. I'm having herbal tea, so
I think that's great. Amanda, what are you having tonight?
I'm just having water.
Water.
So,
Um,
yeah, what are you drinking?
I forgot to grab a drink. I had a soda with dinner. And then I meant to take my glass and put some water in it. So, I texted the girl child. We'll see if she
Gonna bring
brings
you
me
something?
some water. Um, So, Jackie, we would just want to take a little bit to get to know you because I have to be honest, we're all a little bit of fangirls. Um, I found your uh audiobooks that are like the calendar holiday boyfriend series that you did. The
the
diff-
holidays with the Wongs
yeah, the
ones.
holidays with the Wongs. I found them in Hoopla, um, in my Hoopla app, and I am obsessed with them. I love them so much. And then I read your oh, I should have wrote the titles down. The one about donuts because I'm
Yeah,
obsessed with
Donut Fall in
donuts.
Love. Yeah. Yeah.
So I think you like puns.
That title I actually did think of. That
Oh,
was my title.
that's my title.
It was the one we pitched the book with that title, and they didn't ask to change it. So
Well, that's good. And I did actually this week. I hadn't read Grumpy Fake Boyfriend yet, but
Mhm.
it was on sale earlier this
Yes,
week.
Yeah, Amazon.
it's free right now.
It's
Yeah.
free. So I did grab that, but then I went looking and it's in my Hoopla app. So I know what audio I'll be listening to this evening. Um, but I loved The Holiday with the Wongs. Now, is that an indie published series that you did?
Yes, it is an indie published series, yes. And so a lot of my books are self-published, and some of those we sold the audio rights. So that those are the ones that they're audiobooks for on
Yeah.
Hoopla.
Well, because audiobooks are expensive.
Yeah, yeah, they are. I'm not an audiobook listener myself, but
Oh.
yeah, I know they are.
Well, your audiobooks are really good, just so you know. I really like them. So we want to get to know you a little bit. So tell us why romance?
So I'm actually not a lifelong romance reader. I know a lot of people started reading like when they were middle school,
Too
before
young.
they finished high school. And
Yeah.
I didn't start reading romance till I was about, I don't know, 25. And it was actually sort of through when it happened after I started writing. So when I started writing, I was sort of writing more chick lit women's fiction.
Mhm.
And that's when we still use the term chick lit. So, but then I wrote this book and I was sort of like, well, the romance is the main part of the story. So maybe I was actually writing a romance. And if that's true, I should read romance. So then I think that was 2011. So I started reading romance. So I read a lot of romance for a year before I trunk that book, and then I started purposely writing romance. Um, so that's how I came to it, was actually through writing first. Though I'd sort of a lot of like chick lit women's fiction, some of it sort of straddles the
It does.
border, right? It
Yeah.
depends. And I read mostly contemporary. I read historical as well, but I have no intention of writing it.
No intention. I think
Yeah.
that, that's one of the things we talked about actually in a recent episode. Things like cozy mysteries, women's fiction, they kind of straddle the line of romance. So
Mhm.
it's one of those that can be a place to start. And then you come over to the magic of romance and you get HEAs. And it's like, why didn't I not come here first?
Yeah, I mean, I think the guaranteed happy ending was at like that point in my life, which was not a very good point, was also a selling point for me then as well. But when I was when I was younger as a teenager, I didn't actually like the romance plots and things. So I wouldn't have enjoyed it then anyways.
My girl child doesn't really like the romance plots, but she loves the characters and she really likes romantic suspense. So I think it's so funny that
Hmm.
people like read them, but they're like, meh on. And then there's us, right, Amanda, that are like,
Yeah.
I
I
need to.
mean, I think I went through that phase maybe like in my late teen, early 20s, like for a little bit because I was also reading a lot of chick lit women's fic in that point in my life. So yeah, I can see that.
I think it. I think it happens. Um.
Yeah.
So Jackie, do you have a favorite trope that you either like to read or to write? So, Love, Lies, and Cherry Pies is fake relationship, which we'll get
Yeah.
into that. I love that. But do you have a favorite trope?
So that is one of my favorites. So I counted, and that's actually the sixth big relationship I wrote. Um,
I love that.
but I have over 25 books, so it's like it's not a ridiculous percentage. So I would say I really like both reading, writing, fake dating. I I really like Grumpy Sunshine as well. Uh, I am not actually a big enemies to lovers person. Uh, I know sometimes this book is described as enemies to lovers. I don't really think of it that way. Uh,
I just think they're opposites. I don't.
Yeah, so it's more
Yeah.
opposites attract in Grumpy Sunshine. I sometimes like rivals to lovers, but as sort of a subsection of enemies to lovers, I guess.
Yeah.
Um,
No, I think
and
Rivals is very different. Very
yeah,
different than
I think it
Enemies.
often gets called enemies, but I
Yeah.
like the rival version better than
Yeah.
the enemy version. Um, yeah, I think Fake Dating and Grumpy Sunshine are probably two of my favorites. I also kind of like Friends to Lovers, which I know
Yeah.
some people really don't like,
That's
but I
me.
like it.
Becky does
Uh,
not, but I do.
I struggle with Friends to Lovers because I want to feel the spark. Especially, we just did Mutual Pining is one of those that,
mhm.
like, I need to feel the spark. Like, why are you waiting?
Yeah,
Just do it already. Like, I yell that at my Kindle often. Just do
I would
it already.
I would say that Second Chance is one I don't like very much. Um,
I think it can
and
be
That one's
so
hard.
hard to do.
yeah,
Hard to do.
yeah. I think it's also just because it's one of those I don't really like thinking about how that would work in my life.
I dodged some bullets, friend.
Yeah.
So I think that there's some aspect of that for me too. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, do you have a favorite type of hero? Because I have to say, Mark is kind of a white knight. Like, he's
Yeah.
swoony.
Mhm.
But I don't think he's not a cinnamon roll. I don't think so.
No.
No.
But do you have a favorite kind of hero? Because you do have a couple of cinnamon roll styled heroes in some of your books.
Yeah, I think I sort of like grumpy and starchy, which aren't exactly the same, but
Right.
similar. I like that kind of hero. Um, I sort of like the like easygoing, fun, carefree guy sometimes too, but
Yeah. We call those the golden retrievers. They're
yeah,
just the
I kind of
goodest
like those
boys.
too. I think I find those harder to write than grumpy or starchy though.
Well, I think that to write, I can do grumpy and starchy. I live with grumpy and starchy. Like, I get how that brain works. Like, the golden retriever that just is easygoing and happy about everything, it's like, you just kind of want to mess their hair up a little bit and be like, how's it going now? Do you,
That's so true.
don't you though? Or throw their favorite t-shirt like down the line. Ooh, can't wear that. Sorry. Are you still
Yeah.
going to be nice?
Yeah, because we're the type of people that would do that.
We are.
We are.
One time, it was early on in my marriage, and later this month I'll be married 25 years. So, I mean, we're safe. I think we're pretty good. But early on in my marriage, my husband tried to tell me like what all the steps, because he said, "Oh my God, I got all the laundry done," and then he came home and told me what the steps of laundry were, and that I wasn't done because I didn't fold it, and put it away. I legit hid all his underwear. I took every pair and just hid it.
Oh, goodness.
So, so I am that person. Do all the mean things. Um, so Jackie, Love, Lies, and Cherry Pies, it takes place in Toronto, Canada. And you are a Canadian author.
Hmm.
Was that important to you to make sure? Because I think, aren't all your books set in Toronto?
So yeah, some of them aren't set in Toronto, like The Holidays with the Wongs. Some of them are partly set in a fake small town. Um, but all my books are set in Ontario, most of them in Toronto. Um, and I've lived here my whole life, and it's partly like I like it here. It's also partly that I'm lazy and don't need to do research if I, or much research if I set it in Toronto. But like I do like legitimately like it here, so
Yeah.
I do like writing about it.
It has a different feeling than say other bigger cities like US big cities. There's
Hmm.
something a little bit more intimate about Toronto, and it has such an eclectic culture, different cultures in
Yeah.
Toronto too.
Yeah, so Chicago, in some ways, Toronto is a bit like Chicago. Like it's a Great Lake city of the same size, um, but the ethnic background of the like the demographics are somewhat different than
Yeah,
Chicago. But also it's a similar climate and size to Chicago.
yeah. I had no idea like what a large Asian population was in Toronto until years ago. A friend of ours, he was from Hong Kong, and half his family was in Hong Kong and half his family was in Toronto. And then the rest, then he was in the US, and that's where his wife, she was American. I didn't realize like that there was such a large
Yeah,
population
for
there.
sure. Yeah.
Um, and you kind of write about that. You write about the diversity in the city and the culture and the
Hmm.
neighborhoods and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so did you kind of base it on kind of like the neighborhood you grew up in or just the neighborhood?
So I think in this, I lose track of my books. In this book, the neighborhood where her parents live in the suburbs, which is not the same suburb that I grew up in, but like sort of similar idea. The area she lives in is not the area I live in or that I have lived in. She lives in the West End, but like it's an area I go to hang out sometimes. So, um,
It's the cool
I wanted
area.
her, I want, well, I wanted her to live somewhere like downtown in a downtown-ish in a high rise. Um, so that's what I was thinking about. Yeah, I try to vary it up in my books because I don't want them all set in exactly the same
So
part of the city.
you don't want
And Mark
everyone
is
right.
on the east, right? Mark is on the
I
east.
honestly forget. I
I think
actually don't
so.
know. I don't know if I say exactly where he lives, and then I have it mixed up with something else right now.
Oh,
He definitely lives further east. I don't know if he lives like in the center or like further east. I honestly, I
okay.
have it. I'm thinking of another book as well too, because at
Are
this point they all kind of like
well, and are
blur
you in the
together.
midst of writing? Because you probably wrote this book a year ago,
Yeah,
at
yeah.
least.
So that's the thing. By the time in trad, by the time the book comes out, like you probably have barely looked at it in six, because it's basically done at least 6 months in advance,
Right.
usually, right? Like you
Yeah.
may have done one set of past pages after that, but like copy edits and edits, copy edits will all be done more than 6 months in advance. So you're like well past that, and you probably were desperately trying to forget it, and they're like, now you have to promote it. Um,
Now you have to remember everything you wrote over a
yeah,
year ago.
yeah. And I mean, like I did have to read it a lot of times still in that to do copy edits and past pages and stuff. So it's not like it's completely out of my mind, but then when you work on other stuff too, then and you have like 28 books, then like it just sort of
Things start to blend together.
blends together. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm terrible at names. So actually, like in my notes, I wrote down Mark and Emily because, like you, I read so many books and I had to keep track of all the names. And I once did an interview with an author and she was a friend, but I called her hero the wrong name for like 90% of the interview because I was convinced his name was something it wasn't. Um, so, Love, Lies, and Cherry Pies is a retelling of Pride and Prejudice.
So I don't really think of it as a retelling, but it is definitely like inspired by the setup of Pride and Prejudice.
Okay, well, I'm gonna tell you, it's my Pride and Prejudice is my book. Like, I love that book. Um, this is my favorite.
Okay. Um, I think the reason I don't think of it as retelling is because I wasn't trying to follow the beats carefully.
Yeah.
Um, and like there's no fake dating in Pride and Prejudice, I guess.
No, no.
So that's, but definitely like the setup was very like Pride and Prejudice, well, Bridget Jones' Pride and Prejudice inspired.
Yeah.
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 Oh, yes. So many Bridget Jones vibes.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
although Emily's not quite the hot mess.
A little bit though,
A
yeah.
little
But
bit.
yeah.
I felt like her mess was reasonable.
Understandable. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I really liked that you made her an author,
Mhm.
struggling with a little bit of imposter syndrome and who she is. And was that a little cathartic for you at all?
Um, maybe a little bit.
Maybe a little.
I just always like sort of liked reading books about authors or wannabe authors when I was younger. This is actually the third book I've written with a main character who's an author. So um, at this point, I decided I'm not going to do it again because it would be too much. But I do like writing books about authors. So
I think it's just one of those careers that lends itself to place and time.
mhm.
And, again, you don't have to do a lot of research.
Yeah, I mean, there's that too. So like definitely that's not like the main reason I chose her career, but uh, that did help.
Um, so was there anything really important about Emily that you hope readers picked up on? Like, is there something just that was uniquely her that you really hope readers catch about her?
Hmm. Yeah, I can't think of anything off the top of
That's
my
okay.
head. Yeah.
I just felt like she was really realistic. Like, I would be friends with her.
Hmm.
She didn't, I don't know, she didn't feel imaginary.
No, she didn't. And I thought it was, really well done that you had, she's working like two jobs. And even though she's a published author, she's still having to, work her way around and explaining how she's, working through her advances and, still having
Hmm.
to work outside of that career. I just thought it felt very realistic and, it didn't make her seem like she was just kind of had all this great success like to start with, it just showed her as a working author. I really like that.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess it was supposed to be like a fairly realistic take on authors because some fiction or movies, the author, they're like somehow rich and
Exactly.
famous, and that's not the reality for a lot of people. And not that there's anything wrong with having some of that too, right? Because that's kind of fun.
No.
But uh, I wanted to have her be, well, having sort of the millennial struggle. Uh,
Yeah.
True.
so that was part of the reason for that. And it was also like Bridget Jones had sort of career in publishing, which I don't really remember the details. I don't know if they were explained. So
I
that's
feel like she
also
was like
sort
an
of an inspiration from that.
yeah, yeah. Um, I think that that was really great the way you chose to do it too, because it's kind of helps readers realize that just because you sold a book, and for you, you're a hybrid. You publish indie books and you have trad pub books, but that
Mhm.
just because you got a trad pub contract does not automatically equal commercial success.
No, definitely not.
And you have to hustle just as hard as everybody else.
I mean, I'm lucky, like I own writing is my only job right now, but like, yeah, it's definitely not like I have some huge level of success because I have lots of books out.
Yeah. You mean you're not buying a boat and sailing the Great Lakes?
No.
So we talked a little bit about Mark, and he was swoony. I thought he was swoony.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Um, so he, like I said, he's kind of the white knight, dream boyfriend. He's the perfect fake dating boyfriend, though, because he got it. Did you model
Yeah, he
him off of
wasn't.
anybody, like a movie character or another? No.
Not really. I mean, there's a little bit of the whole like Pride and Prejudice, Mark Darcy aspect. But other than that, not really, no.
What were we gonna say, Amanda?
Oh, I was just gonna say he's like he does the kind of just low key like romancing, like he's like searching out places to take her to eat, like the food, like all of that stuff was like totally like my love language. Like I love the whole food thing, and like the gelato
Mhm.
scene is probably one of my favorites. So
Oh, that was a good scene. That was a good scene. I really liked Mark. So thank you for Mark
yeah.
because he's now like, just so we're all clear, I licked him first. He's mine. I'm just saying. Um, so one of the great things in this book, I loved her mom. And I
Okay.
looked earlier and I saw some reviews and people were like, no, her mom. I loved her mom. I loved her. And I like the way you portrayed the family dynamic. Her mom was just loving in the way that her mom loves.
Yeah. So because again, I have a lot of books, so there's some variation in family dynamics, but I tend to veer towards like slightly overbearing but loving
Yes.
when it comes to parents. Um, so that's sort of what her mom is. Like she definitely has like good intentions, but she Emily keeps saying no and her mom does not listen, hence the fake dating.
Her mom does not listen. But I have one of those moms that's not
Yeah.
great at hearing what we're saying. Like she gets it, but she just doesn't hear it.
Yeah. I think I don't know. I feel like it's sort of some dynamic that to some people is very familiar. Some people it's familiar but also annoying at the same time. And some people don't get it at all. I feel like sometimes not I'm not saying that like everyone
Yeah.
should love a book and all that, but I think for some people they don't have an experience with a parent like that, and uh they don't understand that like you can try to set a boundary, but like it's not going to be that simple. Uh, so which again, it was sort of based on like Bridget Jones. Like
Yeah.
Bridget Jones' mom was like that too, though she was a little bit I don't know if she was quite as well intentioned at some points, but uh yeah, so she is like a little bit based on my mom, but not
Yeah.
exactly because uh I don't think my mom would have. ever been obsessed with my dating life, so. But like the way they interact is sort of based on my mom a little bit, which is why the book is dedicated to her. But like my mom never interfered in my dating life. So,
Yeah.
I mean, maybe if I'd been single and 30, but again, I don't really think so. Um, I don't think that would have happened. But like definitely like the dynamic was sort of like my mom died a long time ago. So it was sort of like writing is one of the ways that like I feel like I still have a mom.
Sava mom. I
Yeah.
thought she was so great. Kind of like what you said. Like, her intentions were good. It was her way to love. She
Hmm.
just, sometimes you have to move your mother or you have to move around her. Um,
Yeah.
but the love was there, and I didn't think she was like trying to be controlling. She just cared big.
Yeah. I mean, maybe a little controlling, but not like
See, and I didn't find her
not over the
controlling.
top.
I did like
No.
I have a nosy mother. Like, I
Hmm.
have a nosy mother. She found out, like, we have cameras in the backyard and in the front that watch the dog, or watch packages coming and going. And my mom's like, oh, because she lives with me half the year. She's like, we have cameras now? And I was like, yeah, but you don't need them. You have your apartment in the basement. You don't need access to the cameras. And she's like, but what if I need to see things? I'm like, lady, what would you need to see? So then I just have to be like, okay, Lynn, go buy something. You'll be fine. Um, so I kind of like I got Emily's mom. Like
Hmm.
I got it. Um, Amanda, you liked the mom too, didn't you?
Oh, I like the mom a lot, and especially like when you find out everything behind her motivations. Like I was like, oh, that's so sweet. Like I was, I'm not going to say what it is because it would spoil it, but I really liked the whole story behind why she's doing the matchmaking because it's more than you think.
It is.
And I think the part of that was I think in Asian immigrant families, there are often like a lot of secrets that there are things people just do not talk about. So the um idea of like her just not talking about certain things was to me very like normal, I guess would be
And
the word.
that's something that I've noticed in your books is you layer things. Like it's not necessarily like secrets, but just like when the personalities are kind of layered upon each other. The story is layered upon each other. So like we have the fake dating trope, but it was done in a way to avoid her mother's matchmaking. But then it layered into how her mother responded and her mom's, secrets. And so when you sit down to write, do you like just plot it out, or are you just one of those that writes and if it comes together this way, great, and I'll add things in the edits?
It's definitely plotted. I always plot. I would be terrified. I think I would just freeze and not be able to write if I didn't know where the book was going. So I always have like chapter by chapter outlines before I start. Uh, Sometimes it changes a little bit, but I do plot out everything beforehand.
Yeah. Well, we get a nice cohesive book. So.
I mean, the editing should help with that too, right? So,
Right. Sometimes. Um, so fake dating to avoid parental matchmaking. Um, Emily had a plan.
She did.
She
Yeah.
like she's like, I got to do something, and this is my plan. I just thought that was really great the way that she kind of decides that she can't she can't take one more, with her mom.
yeah.
Um, so did you automatically know this was going to be a fake dating romance
Yes, it was definitely a fake dating romance from the start. Yeah.
from the start?
Yeah.
Um, I just love Mark. I'm still over here swooning about him. Like he's a great
He
character.
is. He had so many layers.
Yeah. Did you have a
And one of
favorite part?
those, yeah. Well, what my favorite part is.
Tell
With
everybody.
it's with the cherry pie and with Miss Muffins.
The cat with the
That was
full
my favorite
name.
part. Miss
Yeah.
Margaret Muffins.
Miss-
Yes. Like, I can't stand it. Like, he seems like this very reserved guy, but then he has this adorable cat who he runs an Instagram for, and I'm still not over it. So, like,
but it has like 3 names. Miss
yeah.
Margaret Muffins, the cat.
Yeah.
Like, are you a cat person?
No, I've never had a cat.
Okay, so I have to ask about writing a pet because I think this is fascinating. Because I was doing an edit for an author and she started with a dog in the book, and halfway through, the dog never makes another appearance. And I'm like, we got to cut the dog. The dog's got to go because he's not in the second half of the book. Like, I don't know what happened
Yeah.
to the dog. So is it hard to write a pet in the book?
So I think this is the first book where I've really had a pet, other than a book where I had a fish. Uh, but it was a fish. Not quite the same. Um, I kind of liked it, but so I might do it again. Yeah, it wasn't something I thought too much about. And cats are something, or I think with a dog you have to plan it a bit better because they need to be let out and stuff, on a
Right.
more regular basis. Whereas a cat you can like leave alone for a little while, and it's, if you go away for a week you have to do something, but like
Right.
you don't need to
You can stay
worry if you're gone
overnight.
for a while. Yeah, exactly.
You
You
can
can
stay
stay
overnight,
overnight.
and the cat's not going to freak out if you don't come home that night. The
Yeah.
dog, that's a different situation.
Yeah.
I just I just thought it's fascinating. Some authors are like, I can barely keep track of if my hero has pants on or not, so I will not be adding a pet.
And some authors like their characters someone always has a dog, right? Like that's part of their brand is
Yeah.
that there's a dog in there.
I just think it adds another layer of complexity, and I love to see. I'm an animal person, and so I love to see the different floofs added into um, the books and stuff. And Miss Margaret Muffins was pretty hilarious.
He's great.
Did you look at, does the cat have, did you make a Instagram for Miss Margaret
No,
Muffins?
no. I mean, I don't have a cat, so like I guess if I did, it would be a bit easier to do that.
Jackie's like, please do not tell my publicists. Do not give them these ideas. Okay, we promise we won't. Um, okay. Stacy had a question in the chat.
Okay.
She did your Kickstarter.
Okay.
And she wants to know, did you think it was a success? She loved all the goodies. And she wondered how you felt now that it had wrapped up with your Kickstarter.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
So the Kickstarter was a success, I would say. However, I think it was not great for my brain.
They're hard. There's a lot going
So
A
on.
lot of work.
I like loved how it turned out. Um, but and also I know if I ran another one, it would be easier.
Sure.
I just like uh I'm not sure I would.
Yeah.
So I'm still on the fence because I had sort of planned another one because after it finished, I was like, wow, this is amazing. I'm going to do another one. And then once I fulfilled it, I was like, I'm going to quit indie publishing. So sorry, like I feel bad saying that.
Don't feel
But
bad.
like
No.
I
Don't.
don't know, it's just like the whole like shipping from Canada and having stuff in a one bedroom apart, like
It's a
you have to have
lot.
supply. Like that the Kickstarter was purposely like the certain tiers were limited. So like like there's only going to be 25 book boxes like so
Yeah.
I knew I definitely set it up so I couldn't have something unmanageable, but like I still just found the whole like organizational like it was just so much executive function that like I don't know. Um
I 100% get it. I run a Patreon. We have 50 patrons. They are
yeah.
fabulous human beings, but we do a swag pack once a month.
Yeah.
And some months they're just an envelope with bookmarks and stickers. And then there's months like this month where there's lots of little pieces and stuff that are going into them. And I literally spent 2 hours today because I don't have like a label printer for my
Yeah.
like postmarks. So they're printed on paper and I cut them and tape them onto the envelopes or whatever, the bubble mailers. 2 hours today. I sat
Yeah.
and taped labels. I'm glad I only do it once a month, but a Kickstarter packing a box and all the confetti paper.
I like so also I don't have a printer, and so I like I also don't have a car. Well, I mean, my husband has a car, so should I want
Yeah.
it, I could have. I hand carried, like I carried on my back like $5 at a time to the post office over a
Oh
month.
my gosh.
Because well, first of all, you can't just show up at the post office at if you don't have the labels printed, you can't just show up and have them here are 30 international packages. Not at a kiosk in a pharmacy. If you went to a proper one, maybe. So it was sort of easier to do it in batches anyway. So
Yeah.
I don't know. There's just the whole like
It's a
definitely if I did a bigger one, that system would not be feasible. You can have them pick up a big order for you if you want. So like there
yeah.
are things you can do, but like also because I'm in Canada and most people are in the US, then there's 80% of stuff is international. Uh, and I have to fill out customs forms.
Which are freaking confusing.
So I mean, it was the same form over and over for me.
Oh, no,
But
well, I mean, I
but
just had
for
to
the
do
book
two this
boxes,
week. I had to do two today for our international Patreons, and I was like, I love these people.
yeah.
When I was
So, yeah, so definitely. So if I'm going to do another one, it would actually be a Holidays with the Wongs
yeah.
hardcover omnibus, not on a
Oh.
new series. So that's the one I would. That's the next Kickstarter I had in mind. But I haven't decided yet if I'll do it.
Um, yeah, I'm exhausted just you talking about it. Like, I went to a Kickstarter.
I don't know. Like I love the stuff. Like it was so pretty, and I liked the books, and it's nice because like people don't have an option to get that kind of stuff from you
Right.
otherwise, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I just have to think about
Yeah,
it.
I'm a Kickstarter buyer, so like I love the options, like
Yeah,
I don't even know how many I have right now that I've, reminders for when they
yeah,
start on my Kickstarter app. I
Amanda
have
loves a
problems.
book box, though. Give
I
that girl a special
do.
edition, and she is all in.
I know.
It's okay.
I'm a
Um,
mess.
although the holidays with the Wongs, those books are so fun. Um, I love them. And you know what books they remind me of? Lucy Eden's Book Boyfriend.
okay. I haven't read it, but yeah, I know the book.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's just they're so funny and um they're just great. I love to listen to the audios. So if anybody's looking for a great entry point to how you write, I highly recommend The Holidays with the Wongs. And I like those covers. I think they're cute.
yeah.
Um,
The first one's 99 cents if you want the ebook.
if you want the ebook.
Yeah.
Um, it's
I
they're
think I have that one already.
are you like
I'm gonna be
stockpiling
looking. Well, yeah,
Jackie's
I know.
books?
I am. I bought the one today.
You bought the what did you buy
The
today?
free one. The free
Oh,
one that you put
yeah.
in the Discord.
I bought that. I realized I owned the stand-up comic one.
Oh yeah, the stand-up groomsman. Yeah,
Yeah, the stand-up
which is after
groomsman.
Donut Fall in Love. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, and I haven't read it yet, so I was like, "Oh, I guess this is downloaded and bumped up on the TBR." Um, okay, so Stacy says the one thing that she loves about your books is that she could see herself somehow fitting into with all the friends groups. And that is you do have really great friend groups in your romance. Is that key to you when you're writing like everybody's got to have friends?
Uh, it sort of depends on the book. Like some of them, like the Cider Bar Sisters series that was like centered around a friend group. Um, it is something like I sort of think about is that I don't like having the heroine being an isolated female character. Like I liked her to either have friends or sisters or um, relationships like that.
Yeah, a girl gang. Like I call it a
Yeah,
girl gang. Um
Yeah, and Emily had both,
yeah,
so which worked out really nice because you got to see the family dynamic with her sisters and then she has her roommate and her other friend
Yeah.
Ashley. So I thought that was like a really nice piece to have both sets for her.
Yeah.
Because you kind of
I
get,
don't have any sisters, so
you don't have any sisters. Do you have any siblings?
I do have a brother, yeah.
Yeah. Um, I had brothers and a sister. I don't know. They're a lot of work sometimes. You can take my mom. Just kidding. Um, okay. Does anybody else have any questions for Jackie? Do you have any questions, Amanda?
So are you a little bit of a foodie
A
as
little
well,
bit.
or a
Not
little
not
bit?
like a little bit, not like on an intense level or anything, but I just sort of like going around the city and trying different things. And
Yeah, I was definitely hungry when I was reading this book. So I have not been to Toronto, so this was definitely I really want to go one day. So
Toronto has
I'm
an
a big food
amazing
person.
food scene.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. My husband and I have talked about it. So yeah, if I keep reading these books, I'm gonna be like, hey,
Do you have a favorite restaurant in Toronto or like little neighborhood quiet place you like to eat at?
Oh, I don't know if I could pick one.
No.
Yeah.
She doesn't want anyone to find out that she picked a favorite.
no.
I always like good breakfast spots. Like,
Okay.
I don't know what it is about breakfast.
Yeah, I'm actually not
You're not a
really a
breakfast
breakfast
person.
person. No.
I am. Give me a good breakfast spot. I like a good breakfast spot. Um, okay. So, Amanda, you don't have any other questions?
No, I think that was the only one
Okay.
I had that we didn't talk about.
Okay. Jackie, thank you so much for hanging out and coming on and talking about Love, Lies, and Cherry Pies. It is available wherever you buy books, you guys. And make sure you come back on Sunday night. We have a live episode Sunday night right here on the YouTube. Jackie, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Until next time, everybody, happy reading. Bye.
Bye.